exchanging energy with you guys. Fifi, Ninjani. Yo, so let's carry on with this relationship series, ne? Because there was a call for Anika, how are you? There was a call for talking about the different types of relationships. And I will say that obviously I'm looking at this within a spiritual context. So the way I will talk about these relationships is from a perspective of, no, Mkulu Jehuti, I know you guys are good. Ketumetsi, how are you? You guys, you've been making me jealous with all your pictures of Durban and stuff. No, it's okay. I don't hate you. No hate here, but I'm just saying, I've been feeling some type of way. I feel like I missed out on a whole lot. So, Queen Trisha Togoza, I think there are enough of us for us to start. So, here's the thing. So somebody had asked after the last video or live that I did, and I did that on YouTube, I believe, talking about conflict resolution in relationships and the things that, to look out for in terms of how do you resolve a conflict when you're in a relationship with someone. And also just what could be the reasons that prevent people from going down the road of trying to find a way of amicably resolving differences, right? So I thought, since there's this cry for the different types of relationship, it does tie into your ability to resolve conflict within relationships based on the relationship type and what that relationship is supposed to be in your life. We all know that most relationships are very difficult, right? Most relationships are very difficult. And there's a reason for this. And I think we talked about how in the last video, we did discuss the issue of values, right? We talked about values and who are you getting into relationship with, and do you share the same values? Do you have the same values in common? And I mean, that's a really important thing. But I think another thing too also is, especially as spiritual people, and whether you acknowledge that you're spiritual or not is neither here nor there. Fact is, you are spiritual because we are spirit first before we incarnate this human flesh. Now, whether you acknowledge that or not, that's entirely up to you. And whether that becomes anything that features in how you choose to live your life, that's also entirely up to you. But the fact is, we are spirit beings, right? You were umoya first before you incarnated into this realm to take on this physical manifestation at this particular time, place, geographical setting. Sorry about that. It looks like we're having a storm coming soon, so I'm going to try to make this quick because we might lose power, which we have in the past when there's been a storm. So I think the first thing to do is, let's start with a relationship that I think a lot of people talk about, which is the relationship of a soulmate, right? You hear, oh, I've met my soulmate. What is this relationship, right? So a soulmate is somebody who you might meet and you have that immediate connection with this person, right? There's obviously a certain amount of chemistry that goes on with this person because the chemistry that goes on with this person is the basis for which you will sit and start having a conversation, exchange numbers, start talking to each other. You're not necessarily similar to this person. Sometimes you're very, very different from your soulmate. It is also not this kind of passionate relationship where, you know how it is for a lot of people when they get into a relationship, there is a period where you are literally obsessed. You are literally obsessed with the person you're in relationship with. You feel brand new. And you can't sleep, you can't eat. Some people lose weight when they go into their relationships. I'll describe that relationship just now, but this is not that sort of a relationship. This relationship has a sort of quiet calm about it. And I'm going to say this because it's very important. For people who are addicted to the giddy feeling of falling in love, they might actually miss their soul connection because it feels boring. Are you hearing me? Because there are people who are addicted to that feeling of being in love, where you're obsessed with someone, where you can't sleep, where you'd give this person your heart or your kidney or a lung if they asked for it, that sort of thing, right? So you may miss your soul connection because you're one of these addicts to that giddy feeling of falling in love. That giddiness and that whole falling in love, which is where the chemistry comes in, is necessary to initiate. It's like the spark that's necessary to initiate the life of this relationship. I always think of it as pta, for those who are in chemetic science, pta being the spark that started the creation of life, right? So that is that thing. That is that chemistry, right? It's necessary to start that relationship. The problem with a lot of people is that these are your love addicts. When that spark eventually becomes a sort of quiet fire, I'm bored. Because you're addicted to the giddy feeling of falling in love. Look, this is not to judge, but actually it's what teenagers go for when they go in a relationship. And when that's not there, teenagers run. As adults who are awakened and conscious, you really want to be looking more than just that. And if you're bored, but everything else is going well in that relationship, and you decide to end that relationship because you're bored, you have a serious problem. Go find yourself a hobby. But that's your soulmate, right? So your soulmate is this person you have a connection with, their chemistry is there, you start talking, the relationship is not hard. The relationship is not a difficult relationship in so many ways. There is a certain understanding and an ability to communicate with one another. If there are issues, the ability to communicate is easy. Please note that I'm talking about these relationships from a healed person's perspective, right? So it's an easygoing relationship. However, there's a caveat with the soulmate relationship, and that caveat is this. Soulmates, in that soulmate connection, there is a tendency of one to start taking the other for granted, meaning the relationship becomes predictable, which is good in so many ways too, and I'll say why. Especially when it comes to raising kids. You need stability, consistency, and predictability if it is a relationship from which children are now born. So, for example, you and said partner get to a stage where you feel that the connection is stable, you feel you've laid a good foundation, and you want to start having children together. It becomes very important that there is a certain predictability. What does predictability in a relationship looks like? There are certain routines that both of you might have, right? That are around things like work, right? If both of you are working, then certain routines are established around work. Once the kids come, your routines expand to include whatever needs to go on for the children, whether it be how, the children getting raised, whether it be, dropping off at school, bringing them home, children's activities, monitoring homework. There's a certain regularity to that relationship that is established. There is a caveat. The caveat with the soulmate relationship is, like I say, there is a tendency for one or both of you to start taking that predictability for granted and therefore start taking each other for granted. The thing with all relationships, whatever form they take, relationships require a continuous communication, a real continuous reciprocity between the two of you, not around the kids, not around activities, but around the two of you, because these children thrive best when that relationship is fed. If you don't feed that connection between the two of you, whatever that may look like, it looks different for different couples, but there has to be a way in which the two of you are connecting outside of family, outside of kids, outside of work, outside of other responsibilities, so that you can maintain and grow and strengthen that connection. Anything that isn't grown or fed eventually will die. It can die a mutual death where both of you, after you've raised your kids, look at each other and it's like you're looking at two strangers. Because remember, if you're not having this continuous conversation, somebody is going to either outgrow the other person or you'll both grow in different directions. Because we are spirits that are constantly growing and evolving, right? So if there isn't this constant energy exchange between the two of you around things that matter, just checking in with one another. Remember, I said you can be very different people, but you can still maintain that connection. The minute one person stagnates and the other continues to grow or grows in a different direction, or both of you are growing, but you're growing apart, meaning you're growing, I'm growing, but there's this distance, it becomes extremely difficult to bridge that distance. When all of these other things in the middle, usually children, responsibility, what, when all those suddenly go and you're facing each other and you're like, hello, stranger, because that's what you will have become. That's not necessarily to say it's toxic. That's not necessarily to say there's any hard feelings, but it's literally to say you have grown apart because you did not nurture and feed that soulmate relationship, right? So that's just something to think about with the soulmate connection. The soulmate connection is one of those connections. Lasting marriages are made of soulmate connections. You'll find that people have been married, those people who are like, oh my gosh, they're celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. How on earth did they do it? That was a soulmate connection that was fed. Now, also remember, humans being what they are, like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean that this relationship is free of challenges. But there are ways, the couple always find a way of working through these challenges and continuing the journey together, right? So that's the soulmate relationship. Now, the other relationship that I think I should talk about is the karmic relationship. What have you been doing in your past life that is coming back to haunt you now? The karmic relationship is the most difficult of these relationships. The karmic relationship starts off usually with such high passion, it's almost obsessive. Either one partner is obsessed with the other, or both of you are obsessed with each other. It's just flames all throughout. Flames, 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 flames. The thing about flames is flames burn. The karmic relationship is a relationship where both of you or one of you has lessons that they did not learn in a former life that they are going to be forced to learn in this life in that relationship. Now, what does this look like? For an example, you might be somebody who, in a former life, you had promised marriage or said yes to marry X person. Let's call him Tom. Now, you then had an engagement with Tom, and this engagement went on for 6 years. And then on the day of said marriage or a week before, you jilted Tom or Tom jilts you. Imagine the pain that causes. So then you go on, you marry somebody else, and you are great and everything, and you think, you forget that you left a wounded soul somewhere, somehow. You go and say you come back, right? In a new life. And you are now in a relationship with somebody. And this relationship, you are like, literally, this person, for you, this is ground zero. You're done. After this, there can be no one else. This is it. This is Park Station. La. Pelela lapo. At Park Station, no more. Then, just as when you're thinking everything's going well and, you've been together for a while, that person drops you like a hot potato. Now, you get to feel the pain that you might have caused someone in a former life. That is one of the hallmarks of a karmic relationship. It could also be that in the same lifetime, you do something like that to someone, and then you end up in a marriage with somebody who takes you through the ringer. Like somebody who shows you flames. It is so that you pay off this debt, this spiritual debt that you owe because you hurt somebody so badly and you walked away without making amends, without atoning. See, the universe will always find a way of finding balance. Things have to balance. Equation, what's done on the left has to be done on the right. It's simple. So it either is going to be a karmic relationship you experience in that lifetime. Some people might call it instant karma. Or in another lifetime. There's some karmic relationships where you're with somebody and everything just feels so difficult. The communication is difficult. Maintaining connection is difficult. This person seems neglectful, but you seem to be doing it all. And you're asking yourself a basic question: how the hell did I end up here? Or what have I done to deserve this? Good questions. Karmic relationship. Karmic relationships are not easy. The key to the karmic relationship is when it is happening, and this is easier said than done, is to be aware and ask yourself what lessons you are supposed to be learning. You guys are going to hear this from me in most of my teachings about anything. Because we are here to experience and learn the lessons. And if you don't learn the lessons, number one, you may stay stuck in that relationship longer than you need to, which is excruciating. Or you will leave and the very next relationship will bring up those exact same lessons. Does that make sense? So the karmic relationship, and it's very difficult these days to tell whether you're in a karmic relationship or not, because I guess it makes sense. Most people are so hurt that they're not really worried about what lessons they're learning, especially these male-female relationships where you're in it and you're in combat mode. You go in like this already. You go into the relationship defensive. You go into the relationship ready to fight. But in a relationship that has continued, say, to the point of marriage, it means that there has been a certain amount of stability. Because these karmic relationships have a hallmark too, which is when things are good, oh my God, when things are good, they're fantastic. But when things are bad, things are bad. Things are really bad. Now, a lot of these karmic relationships last longer than they should sometimes, because when things are good, when things are good, it has a way of making one have amnesia to how bad things can really get when they're bad. So it's a cycle of, ooh, okay, good, phew, bad, really bad. And then good, bad, good. There's not a lot of stability and predictability within that relationship. Right? But the key thing with the karmic relationship is you are in that relationship to atone and make amends. You are in that relationship to learn from past mistakes that you didn't learn anything from. That's why I always say to people, you do certain things and you think you've gotten away with it. You really have not gotten away with anything. This is why being in Ma'at becomes so important, because you check in always with Ma'at, and where you are wrong, where you are making mistakes, you quickly fix it so that it doesn't come back to bite you at a time you no longer even remember what it is you did to deserve that. Hence the question, what did I do to deserve this? Right? There are usually a lot of tears in a karmic relationship, a lot of disappointments, a lot of emotional turmoil goes on in a karmic relationship, either for both of you or the person who's having to learn certain lessons. So your partner is your karmic partner at that point. You are in this person's life to learn certain things or to make amends for certain things that you didn't make amends for when you had the chance. So, just out of interest, how many people think they are in a soulmate relationship? Let's see. Just give me some hearts. I just want to kind of get a rough idea. How many people think they are in a soulmate relationship currently? How? No soulmate relationships. Come on. Guys, can you hear me at all? If you can hear me, can you please flash, give me hearts, something? No communication. Come on, guys. Can you hear me? Portia, instead of wanting to join the video, can you just let me know if you can hear me? I'm not where I am, huh? I'm not. Okay. Oh, people are answering. Okay, you're not sure. Okay, someone says, I'm not where I am. Definitely go. I see some bad habits I used to, but I never realized I did before. So do you believe you're in a soulmate relationship or a karmic relationship? Okay, I'm seeing some answers. So who's karmic? Who's what? All right. Okay, so you're loud and clear. Thank you, Mkulu. Right. So I don't know. I think I've tried or somewhat explained the karmic relationship. But there's one thing too. Karmic relationships are very toxic. So maybe that will help you. Are you in a karmic relationship or a soulmate relationship? Because if it's toxic, there's probably a karmic relationship. If it's not toxic, has its days, is difficult, then you're in a soulmate relationship. Or if you're in a soulmate relationship, work on it. Hold on to that relationship. Tiny, I'm single, go. You know what? Maybe I should start a dating agency for spiritual people. Start matchmaking people based on your principle. When were you born? Okay. These are your characteristics. Okay. What are your inner child wounds? Let's see. Let's work on those wounds. Okay, fine. Then I look on the other side. Let's find you a mate. Do the same vetting and then put you all together. I'm listening, still looking for the soulmate from the great empire of Kemet. Who wrote that? Who's looking for a soulmate? Jehuti, I have someone for you. I've told you already. You don't want to listen to your mama? Hey, your mama is wise. I know. I have someone in mind for you. Matter of fact, I have two people in mind for you. And I think when I come home, I don't know, guys. I keep getting interference because it looks like this thing really wants to come. This storm. But yes, Mkulu Jehuti, when I come home, I'm sending you and a certain couple of ladies. No, I hate that word. In Lobugas. I'm sending you guys on some dates because I think I may have distilled it down to two people. Right? I believe I'm in a soulmate relationship. That's in Davi saying, yeah, boy, yeah, boy. Also remember that with the soulmate relationship, you know, as you grow older, the characteristics of the relationship change. There are a lot of people, relationships have phases, you know. You have that youthful phase before you have your kids, and there's this and that and so on going on, right? Then there comes another phase where you're raising your kids, so really your kids are the focus of what's going on. That's the stage where in a soulmate relationship, you really have to be conscious and you really have to be intentional about maintaining the connection. And for the person who is the caregiver of the kids, more often, who is the Indlovukazi, there is a tendency to lose yourself in taking care of your kids, which can take its toll on the relationship, right? But that's not to say that in a situation where you are raising your kids together, your mate cannot assist you in terms of taking care of the kids, so that frees up more time, so that you're not always exhausted to spend time together, so that you're not always irritable, you are not always like exhausted. Taking care of kids is exhausting. Take it from somebody who's done it out here with very little help, right? So that is something that's very important to keep in mind. And then there's the phase in your relationship where now you're older. You know, you probably find that the things that you used to fight about, squabble about, it doesn't really matter anymore, you know, because you are more mature, both of you. The key here is don't be mature separately. Be mature, niche. Because if you're mature separately, then there's no relationship. The only thing that's really holding you together is these children. And once those children go, you know, it's also important, that's why I said it's important people don't realize this. And I'm talking about sort of the modern configuration of marriage and relationships. I see Kwemakaya, right? We're all in the cities and so on. You know, these relationships, all of them, don't really have a support structure in terms of extended family and so on and so forth. And given the fact that we're finding so much toxicity within families anyway, your in-laws may not have ever liked you from day one. So forget getting help from them should things get hard, right? Your in-laws either on the husband's side or the wife's side, it's possible. You know, there's a lot that happens around that whole marriage negotiation that can literally kill what is supposed to be a coming together of people, ends up being a total splitting of people. So then it becomes important that you check in with one another, because without the support of the elders or the council of elders or people you can go to for help, you really only have one another to make sure that you stay connected, right? That's where the conflict resolution comes in. The karmic relationship, Gosiam. Whether you are, whether you are communicating or not communicating and it's toxic. Because somebody has to learn some hard lessons. And those relationships, to be honest with you, they're not meant to last a lifetime. If it's last a lifetime, by the end of that lifetime, somebody is already spiritually dead. It's just a physical body there. That's how bad those are. Right? And it's interesting because it's a slight nuance. I'm not really talking about the narcissistic type of relationship, but I am talking about a relationship that is so hard, that has all the hard lessons in it. And if you learn the lessons quickly, you can exit that relationship quickly. You know, if not, most often you stay stuck in there. You know, you don't see a clear way out of it. So you stay stuck. right? So the other kind of relationship, this is the relationship that okay, this one, it's the twin flame relationship. Now, sometimes people confuse the twin flame relationship to the soulmate relationship. The twin flame relationship is extremely rare. It is one of those relationships that they say, and I don't know where they get their numbers from, but they say like it's 1 in 100. The twin flame relationship is a spiritual relationship. It's the highest spiritual relationship where the person that you meet, it's literally like looking at yourself. That's why it's called a twin. This person, you and this person have known each other usually for several lifetimes. You've journeyed together. Not necessarily in the kind of intimate partnership relationship, but your souls are connected from way back. It's not just an incarnation of the now, but it's a deep connection from before. A soul or a twin soul type of relationship usually happens around people who have the same calling or work, right? They have the same calling or work. This is the kind of relationship where in conversations, sometimes things don't even need to be said because there's a deep telepathic connection, or one starts talking and the other finishes the sentence. It's that kind of relationship where one is somewhere, one is another, the other one just thinks of the person and the phone rings because while they were thinking about them, the other person was thinking the same and then decided to make the phone call. It's a kind of relationship where both of you have been through a lot of trauma, but you've done the healing work. So you've both done this healing work in this lifetime and in the previous lifetime. And by the time you're meeting your twin flame, it's a relationship that spirit and your soul has prepared you for. That is a twin flame relationship. The connection goes way beyond just the physical, like I've said. And these kind of relationships, we're seeing a lot more of them now because of the nature of the spiritual work that needs to be done. Do you remember me telling you guys that, I think this was several months ago, when I was saying that in this age of Aquarius, what was coming to me was that there was going to be a destruction of all kinds of institutions, government, domestic, religious, spiritual, political, and so on. Remember that? And I said in that live that what was really happening is that these relationships that no longer served the divine feminine were going to be removed or destroyed or ended, not in any kind of horrible way, but because it was time for that particular individual to be paired with somebody who would journey with them in the work that they had to do. That is usually the twin flame connection. The twin flame connection, literally, it's like looking at yourself. That person is like yourself. And yes, there's healing that needs to happen. And that healing happens in that mirroring. But it is not a karmic relationship. It doesn't have the hallmarks of a karmic relationship. There's no fireworks and flames, and there's no burning and slashing, and there's no bruises and breaks. No. It is not emotionally or spiritually torturous to be in that kind of relationship. It doesn't require as much work as does your soul connection, which really requires you and your soulmate to always be connected. and to work through challenges always together. And that twin flame relationship doesn't have those kind of hallmarks. Spiritually, it is the most beautiful relationship. And does everybody at some point have a karmic partner? Yes, or several, depending on whether you're learning your lessons or not. Is there a soulmate for everyone? Yes, there is. There is a soul connection for everyone. Who is looking for one, by the way? We need to put that caveat, because not everybody is meant to be married. Not everybody is meant to be in relationships. And it takes a lot of work and self-introspection to come to that conclusion, because society is telling everybody that you need to be married and you need to be paired with somebody. It's not that way, right? So, but the twin flame relationship is a unique relationship, and not everybody has a twin. Not everybody has a twin. The twin relationship is usually there for people whose souls were destined to do a particular work, and they are paired with another soul destined to do that particular work. These two souls know each other from way back. It's always interesting if you do past life regression to try to figure out who was who in what lifetime. I think that's such a fascinating thing, because then you get to discover that, oh, in a former lifetime, we did this and this together at such and such a geographical location. And we were either siblings, or I was your mother, or you were my father, whichever it is. But there's always a connection that goes way, way back that can be traced. When twins meet, there is a sense that you have known each other before, without a doubt. It's a sense you both have. In some cases, there is a sense either in both of you or in one that you're who I've been waiting for. That's not to say you haven't been in other relationships before, but in every other relationship you've had, there's always been that sense of missing, that sense of incompleteness. When you meet your twin, if you do have a twin flame, it's a knowing in your soul that, this is the one I've been waiting for. So I believe I'm in a soulmate relationship. So that is it in summary. So you're in a karmic. I'm not laughing at you, but you're also putting an emoji of laughter. Why are you laughing? Who's this? It's Peladi. Why are you laughing? Well, learn your lessons and get out of that relationship fast, please, and heal. Because, everybody who's in a karmic relationship needs healing. There's no way you cannot need healing from a karmic relationship. Martha says, I believe I'm in a karmic relationship too. Hey, Martha, do your lessons and get the hell out of there. So, for all of us, what is, when you are manifesting a relationship, when you sit down and you're thinking about the qualities that you're looking for in a soulmate, write these things down, right? Write these things down. These are the things that I'm looking for in a soulmate. And make these things that are of value, not material value, but of significant spiritual value, right? You may find that a lot of the things you're looking for in your soulmate, the material gets taken care of. I think we talked about it in the last, how are you choosing your mate? How are you choosing your mate? Or are you allowing your soul to choose a mate that your soul knows it needs? Or are you in your human flesh running with the human flesh and material things to go by yourself as a human to go and choose a partner? And people who are ancestrally gifted understand this concept very well, which is the idea that if your ancestors are not approving of somebody, they will remove that person, whether you like it or not. So when you give yourself time to meditate and reflect on the sort of partner you're manifesting, go deep. Just go deep with that. Don't use the worldly standards of what an ideal partner should be, because then you'll miss your soulmate. You end up in a karmic. Yo. That's where Mujolo Wanyisa. How many people have some scars from karmic relationships? Come on, be honest. How many people have scars from karmics? How many? Look, I've got my hand up. So, how many? How many have some? I call them. What do you call it? Your battle scars that you look at and you're like, yeah, I got it from that battleground, and then Naleli. Do you see this one? I got it in that other battleground, because a lot of karmic relationships are battlegrounds, you know. But they have lessons that we must learn, and if we don't learn those lessons, you'll find yourself in war again. And sometimes you go from one war where you are still limping. You're still limping from that war, and you're going to throw yourself in another war. Oh, God, being human. So, do we have any questions? I'll answer any questions if you guys have any. Thank you. So, what are you saying I should? I should do what? Thank you. So said I should something. But anyway, let me know. Thank you. So guys, any questions? Somebody says no relationship, no lutando. No relationship because you're scared. No relationship because you've been burned. No relationship because you really feel in your soul that you are supposed to be on your own. Because if you're running away from relationship, because then it means that you're running away from growth. And you'll end up in a relationship somehow, whether you like it or not. So, which is it? Are you sitting it out because you don't like going to war? There is no relationship. Again, question becomes, are you in no relationship because that's what you're cut out for? Are you in no relationship because you've been burned? Or, yeah, because, look, put it this way. If you've been in a relationship, really what ought to happen is, before you jump into the next relationship, you really need to give yourself a time out to heal and lick your wounds. I'm not laughing at you guys. I'm serious, I'm not laughing at you. I'm not laughing at you, but yeah, I'm kind of laughing at myself in so many ways as well. But me, I had scars from karmic marriage. Ow! Funda. Man, posha, funda. Funda and get out. Faster. Yo! Just make sure that you start your healing. Yeah, if it's a karmic and it's a marriage, yeah, lapo ge manje. Yeah. It's not an easy one. I know that. You will make a lot of connection for a lot of us gogo. You think I'd be good at it, Mkulu? You think I should set up a spiritual? The Christians have a spiritual. The Christians have several spiritual dating sites. I'm always laughing when I come across them on TikTok. I can just imagine someone saying, "No, we really haven't made a connection," and then someone saying, "Yeah, you're going to hell for that." You know, you're going to hell. It's like. Yeah, because they are toxic now with their heaven and hell. We argue mostly out of nothing, but love always plays its role. That's great. So that sounds to me like it's a soul connection. You know, yeah, where there is real, genuine love in the soul connection, it works. That's why I said long-lasting marriages for life, are made from soul connections. So yeah. What else? Does polygamy have that? I knew somebody was going to ask me that question. I knew it. I was hoping to get out of this live before somebody asked me this very complicated question. Honest answer? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Because remember, me, the definitions I'm giving to you guys is from a spiritual perspective. And quite frankly, I don't know. I would really need to think about that and parla a little bit to see what is revealed. But I really was regretting. I did not want this question. Because then it begs the question, can you have more than one soulmate? Or is there your one soulmate? And then what makes all the others? Karmic. Definitely not twin flame. Because there's only one twin flame in a lifetime. So yini. Or is there a twin flame connection? And then what makes all these others? Soul connections maybe? Or karmic? Those are things to think about. Why? Trinity, are you in a polygamy marriage? If you are, take a look and see what the dynamics are. The thing with the polygamy is a very difficult setup, especially for the guy, because you're supposed to treat everybody equally. So, you brought in another layer of complication right there. So, worth thinking about. If I come up with any answers, who knows, we might do another live one on spiritual relationships in polygamy. Let's see. Tokoza, how do I see if somebody is your soulmate? Well, I kind of described for you the hallmarks of a soulmate connection, right? Which is there is that connection. It's not crazy, but it's there. There is chemistry. There's often shared values. You may be very different people, like I said, with maybe even different interests and different outlooks on life, but that does not necessarily mean that the relationship cannot work. People are always under the impression that for a relationship to work, you have to be exactly the same. No, it doesn't. You don't have to be exactly the same and don't even have to have the same interests. What I have found in my experience in counseling people and in Uhlola and the work that I do, consultations and so on, is that where there is a fundamental difference in belief, so for example, one person is of the religion and another person is, those kind of relationships can be very difficult. And I see a lot of them coming to an end, actually, because there are certain fundamental things that as a religious person, you don't believe in, since it's all based on belief. So how do you reconcile somebody who's in a religion where, as far as they're concerned, ancestors are demons? And you as the spiritual person, how do you reconcile the fact that there's certain rituals and practices that you want to do in accordance with spirituality, but you are partnered with someone who says, we don't do that here? So I would say, yes, there might be the chemistry and the connection, but these are conversations that are necessary to have before you make any major commitment with someone. The problem, and this is a problem I see with a lot of women, is we have a tendency to think that I can, when you're in love with somebody, you tell yourself, I can cope with anything. Gibatla lenyalo. Once I'm married, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You have to have these conversations about alignment, and spiritual alignment is essential. So I personally am seeing a lot of these relationships gradually fall apart. Either the partner in religion gives an ultimatum and says, you need to stop doing these things, or I don't want to come to my house and see candles burning, comes in the door and is like, What is that smelling? Meanwhile, you've burnt incense or rimpepo. The other problem too is if one partner is spiritual and the other isn't, and there are kids involved, how are you going to raise your children? You as a spiritual person might know that there are certain things that you need to do to make sure that you stabilize your children, to make sure that your children are protected spiritually, to make sure that whatever gifts that your children have aren't frittered away. There's certain things that you know as a spiritual person you ought to be doing for your kids. Then you have your partner, on the other hand, who says, you will not do any such thing with my kids. And here we pray. In the name of Jesus, amen. How are you going to reconcile that and create a stable unit as a family? Really, in this age that we're in now, these are important considerations to have. Never mind the whole soul connection, what, right? So I think that's it. What else is there? I personally think, who's this? Kulija. I personally think and know that I have prepared a twin flame relationship with someone whom I believe we're about to meet. Or I feel like we know each other and not yet remember, or it's not yet time. You know what? People who are in who are twinned always know. That's why you can be in a relationship and still find yourself yearning for someone who you don't know and you haven't met. You yearning, but you don't know who you're yearning for because you haven't met them. Hence, when you do meet this person, there's that sense of, so you're the one I've been waiting for. So you're absolutely right, Mkulu. And everything in the twin flame relationship is about timing. Because often you'll find that people in a twin flame relationship, because it's so exquisite and so beautiful, will often say, man, why didn't I meet you earlier? Well, it wasn't the time. Spirit hadn't designed it for you to meet then. The idea is you've met now and you move forward together in your bliss. Right? So, yeah, Mkulu Tabo, you must tell me about all this, because me, I'm a patla. I must patla for you because I want grandchildren. I'm in a hurry to have grandkids, please. Yeah, all y'all who are here, get your act together. I want grandchildren. Don't be sitting here coming to my lives and not fixing your life, because me, ultimately, I want grandchildren. I want lots of them. So let's see. How do we partner for a good partner? Well, you partner for a good partner. What is your definition of a good partner? It's what I said, right? Sit and be clear about your values. Right? Sit and be very clear about your values and what it is you're looking for. Right? That is where you start. Yeah, and your partner, yes, but you also manifest them. What does that mean? Prepare yourself to be ready to receive said partner. Because sometimes you're so unhealed, you're so wounded, you're so preoccupied that said partner comes along and goes right past you. And goes right past you because you're too wounded and you're looking at the world with the framework of your wounding. You don't actually see this person go by. Or you're looking at the world with that materialistic view of, I'm looking for someone who drives a Bugatti. I'm looking for someone who has a Range Rover. I'm looking for someone with a huge house in Sandton and an apartment in some place in Mpumalanga in the wild. Do you see what I mean? I'm looking for someone, the fat bank account. You stay stuck in that, your soulmate will walk right past you. Because these are spiritual connections, not physical. Yeah. Somebody's saying, what these of cheating? I forget it. The cheating, polyamory cheating, those are not relationships that they're not. Those are based in the physical. That's it. So, let's see. Hey, Nina, I do have battle scars. I've even gained the title divorcee. I forget that title. People will always label you. So what? You divorced, you're brave. There are people who are stuck in spaces because they are scared of being called a divorcee. That's like, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to sound judgy. But literally, if you're stuck somewhere because you're scared of what people say, I would say it's time to outgrow that in this day and age. Because you're not living for other people. You have a purpose and a mission to fulfill. And if that does not involve being in that marriage, but you're worried about what people will say, what's your soul saying? That's more important, right? What is your soul saying about where you are, right? Let's see. I guess I'm just holding on to my karmic. We used to fight, but now we no longer physically fight since we stayed together. Well, sounds to me more like a soulmate. What do you think makes it a karmic? I mean, soulmates have their issues, like I said, but it doesn't escalate to the point where it becomes toxic. By the way, twin flames do have issues, but they have a unique way of resolving conflict that is quite surreal. But yeah, they also, because ultimately still they are in human form to learn and grow. But they have a huge mission. That's why they eventually make their way to one another when they are ready for one another. And when spiritually, whatever X's mission is and Y's mission is, they have reached that point now where it's time. And then they're brought together so that bayabambisana in that work. Me, I had scars from a karmic relationship. Ow! Join the club, Sesiwe. I'd rather be a coward. Maybe I'm not cut out from Jolo. No, just look at it though. The thing about it is, that's why ultimately the first thing that we want to think about, we're talking about relationships and everything, is who are you? Because your relationship should not define who you are. And a lot of people are finding that once they discover who they are and the purpose for which they've been put on this planet, it then becomes easier to align with someone else it's the universe does it like this. Most times when you are you can't ever be fully healed, but when you're healed enough, your spiritual partner comes into play because you're able to recognize them. And so maybe if you're a coward, you know what, you won't stay there for long. Something's going to happen that's going to kick you into a relationship, whether you want to or not. And if you have karmic debts, oh yeah, you don't think that you can sit out of a relationship because you know that you've done some. And if you're conscious of the fact that you've done some shady stuff in your past relationships, fix it. You still have a chance to fix it by making amends and atoning, after admitting that you did some horrible things, right? So there's always opportunities to fix things and move forward. I'm searching with my soul, and soul searching is something else. Yeah, but no, no, man, I need to talk because now I know who. Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. Tokoza Koko, can you get married to someone but spiritual traditionally is not recognized by the person's ancestors? I think we've talked about what is considered a marriage in African spirituality, which is for a lot of people just an introduction to, I think I like to say, to one another's ancestors. So yeah, unless you do some kind of white marriage, in which case neither your ancestors acknowledge it and that person's ancestors don't acknowledge it either. I'd rather be looking. Do these types of relationships refer to romantic relationships or type? Well, I was talking, hey Ross, how are you? I was talking predominantly of intimate partnership relationships. Because, soulmate connections happen with people who you are not necessarily romantically involved in. Karmic relationships also happen sometimes with people you're not romantically, but the twin flame is a different type of relationship altogether. I'm recovering from that relationship. It was heavy. This is probably a karmic relationship. I end up holding protection order for my ex-husband. Yeah, that sounds karmic to me. Karmic and probably narcissistic in there. But Ilozi, they gave me a soulmate, and because I hadn't healed, I tried to run. But what wena? So ngila. Yeah, I actually have. Who's this? Because I thought it was the person who I'm dealing with right now, who has that same situation where she ran away from her soulmate because she was wounded too, and she couldn't hack it. The relationship was too healthy. He was almost like this thing too good to be true, and she ran fast. But guess what? 16 years later, he's back. But she's grown and she's healed. So, just saying. Do you have to be married to be in a soulmate relationship? No. Not necessarily. But like I said, soulmate relationships are the types of relationships that lead to marriage. So, no, I mean, not all relationships start out as marriage, right? You eventually, if you're going to marry someone, you marry them after you've been in a relationship. So this is just talking about relationships generally. Toza, can you get married to someone, but spiritual or traditional, you're not recognized by that person's ancestors? I think I've addressed that one, which is the only way that can happen is if you are not married traditionally or ancestrally. Relationships are complicated. Yebo. Injal. Very complicated. Because we're complicated beings. Right? We're not, are we simple? No. So, umuntu, Uban, I can't live without you. Apinde abe no, where have you been? That's polygamy, Gogo. Umuntu, Uban, no, I can't live without you. Apinde abe no, where have you been? That's polygamy. Hi. That's a new definition of polygamy. I've never heard that one. I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say, Trinity. Angizwisisi le definition yakho. Partner for me too, Gogo. Ngusiya. Yebo! But you guys have to heal. So if you promise me you're getting on a healing journey, I'll partner for you for sure. And I'll match you. I'm happy to match make people who are healed. If you're not healed, I'm born. What? Where is... Did you really have to bring that up? Uta, where is your Imvana, Coco? I think I saw you on Imvana's chest. Hey, I don't know who you're talking about. Yo, you guys, you see things on social media and you start to think it's me, not me. Or I categorically deny that one. Be me. Are there different partners for different stages of our healing? Yes, absolutely. This is the lessons, right? And not different partners all the time. So please don't go hopping from partner to partner. And this healing, I need this type person, this healing. No, it doesn't work like that. But yes, it can happen that for a stage of your healing, you need a certain type of partner. The key is recognizing what lessons you're learning. Yeah. And, for spiritual healers, I don't know if I have any healers here, any spiritual healers, zangomas, etc. Here's a caveat. Something is coming to me, which is this. There is something that's going on which we need to recognize, which is that sometimes somebody comes to you because you're supposed to heal them, not to be in a relationship with them. Okay. What does that look like? Spiritual people are very magnetic people. Spiritual people are they're magnetic. I don't know how else to put it. Attractive sounds too shallow, but they are magnetic. They have a certain energy about them that makes them very attractive. And for a lot of people, spiritual people are irresistible. The onus is on you as a healer to be discerning, to know whether someone who's coming to you is coming for you to heal them and then let them go, or whether that person is coming to you to be a partner. And it's messy right now in the spiritual world because the lines are blurry. And it becomes very difficult because for a lot of spiritual people, it is not easy to be in a relationship, particularly women. Why do I say this? Because of the nature of the spirits or the ancestors that we embody. There are women who embody male spirits and have a very masculine aura. Not all the time, but predominantly, depending on if a Kehla is your head or your lead lozi. They are they come across as extremely masculine. They have very hard times getting into relationships. And so sometimes, and not all of them, please don't go quoting me or share this to someone who and then say, look what she's saying about spiritualists. What I'm saying is we need to have an awareness that when your patients are coming to you, they are your patients first before they can be anything else. If you blur those lines, you compromise your practice, you compromise yourself, and you also compromise that person's healing, because those things usually generally end in tears. So you don't want to be the cause of harm inadvertently because you put on some blinkers and saw the wrong things and picked up and misinterpreted signals that were coming from a person, and you end up in a relationship with them when in actual fact all you were supposed to do is help them a certain part of their healing journey. Yeah. So I just wanted to put that out there. It just literally just came as we were going. Just in Gogo, do we groove? But I feel I need fresh air. Boom. I'm just listening what I want to hear. You are at groove. You're supposed to be at home meditating. You don't tell someone like me that you are at groove. You don't. Go home and meditate. Go being apparently. And there's a reason for that. Uset is like bildizering everywhere. And Oset bamengenyao. So they're out causing havoc, wire. If you are wanting to risk being in that crossfire, have at it. But good luck, nanas. I love you. Enjoy your groove. You must dance my piano on my behalf, please. Where else are we? I've never met my one. I have met my one. I've been with her for 5 years and I've never cheated. And I used to be a player. There we go. And that's not, that's very common, is that when someone meets the one, all desire to cheat and in fact, it's more not the desire to cheat, but it's more the desire to be a good person, a better person for your partner is what usually drives somebody. That you want to be the best that you can be for your partner. So, and that wanting to be the best you can be for your partner is what will kill all this other nonsense. You know, besides, you've done your thing, right? You've been there, done that, seen it. If you've hurt people in the past, please sheleza for it, because it could mess up what you're in right now. I'm being serious. A lot of people take this for granted. If as you were out there doing what you were doing, you hurt some people and you know it, fix it. You just need to sheleza somehow and be in cognizance of the fact that you caused some hurt. Now, I'm not saying go back and dig up your exes, please, unless you did something really terrible, like maybe made somebody have an abortion, or maybe you beat someone up, or then you really need to go and find this person and you need to shweleza and make amends. Otherwise, this one, and yazi umoya unjalo, that time you're saying, I've arrived, I found the one, is when you get knocked over. Because past. So if there's any of that, fix it. I think I'm done, you guys. I'm here, Gogo Series, putting me on the list. Put me on the list of matching partnering. Yeah, this is an issue. Putting you on the list of of partnering. Sorry, partner. Yeah. So, yeah, and use the new moon energy to manifest your relationship, but be clear about what it is you want, because Uma doesn't like wishy-washy people. Be very clear about what you want, and then also be clear that you yourself would be a worthy partner for the partner that you want. So you can't be busy trying to manifest a perfect human being. Meanwhile, when now you are still up to nonsense. Forget it. It doesn't work that way. All right, I think we're done. I hope this has really answered some questions. I'll put up some slides of the different types of relationships just so that you have them. You can share them with your friends, download them for yourself. So that you can have them handy. But I loved this, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I thoroughly enjoyed doing this live. And I hope to see you soon. I can't make any promises because I hate breaking promises. But nizombona. I think at some point I need to come on and we need to talk about set umbilizi. Because very interesting times we're in. But for now, I love you guys. Take good care of yourselves. Take good care of those around you. Masithokozeni.